Doctors are trusted with our lives, but what happens when that trust is betrayed? Imagine going to a doctor, hoping for help, only to be walking into the arms of a killer. In today's shocking story, we explore the case of a doctor who is believed to have killed more than 500 patients, and how one crucial mistake finally brought his horrifying reign to an end. Dr. Harold Shipman was a respected general practitioner in Hyde, a small town in England. For years, he built a reputation as a compassionate and caring doctor. But as time went on, something disturbing began to unfold. Patients under his care started to die at an unusual rate. Most of them were elderly, and their deaths were often ruled as natural causes. But one family had doubts, and their suspicions would change everything. Harold Shipman, born in 1946, was a man who excelled academically and pursued a career in medicine. From the outside, he seemed like the perfect doctor, well-spoken, polite, and seemingly dedicated to his patients. But beneath that calm and collected exterior, there was something far darker at play. Shipman worked for several years, gaining the trust of his patients. But behind closed doors, his methods were far from ethical. The deaths continued to rise, but each time he signed off the death certificates as natural causes, heart attacks, old age, or illness. No one questioned his judgment, until Kathleen Grundy was one of Shipman's many elderly patients. She was a wealthy former mayor, known for her community involvement and sharp mind. On the morning of June 24, 1998, she was found dead in her home. Dr. Shipman had been the last person to see her, and he claimed her death was due to old age. He even went as far as signing her death certificate, stating no autopsy was necessary. But Grundy's family was suspicious. She had been in good health and showed no signs of illness. When her will surfaced, leaving everything to Dr. Shipman, her daughter, Angela Woodruff, knew something was terribly wrong. She immediately contacted the authorities. Police launched an investigation into Dr. Shipman after Woodruff raised concerns. A post-mortem examination was ordered for Kathleen Grundy, and what they found was shocking. Her body contained traces of diamorphine, a powerful opiate used for pain relief in terminally ill patients. The drug had been administered by none other than Dr. Shipman, but why? Grundy wasn't terminally ill. This discovery opened the floodgates. Investigators began reviewing more deaths under Shipman's care and found a disturbing pattern. Many of his elderly patients had died suddenly after home visits, and Shipman had often been the last person to see them alive. Shipman had been careful for years, but his greed led to his downfall. The forged will of Kathleen Grundy was his fatal mistake. He couldn't resist trying to steal her fortune, and that greed was the crack in his armor. The forged signature, the overdose, and the suspicious will all pointed to Shipman as the culprit. In September 1998, Dr. Harold Shipman was arrested. The evidence against him was overwhelming: multiple counts of murder, forged documents, and falsified medical records. In 1999, his trial began, and it shocked the world. How could a doctor, someone who took an oath to save lives, become the most prolific serial killer in British history? During the trial, the families of the victims were left devastated, struggling to comprehend how a trusted doctor could commit such heinous crimes. The prosecution argued that Shipman had likely killed hundreds of patients over his career, with estimates ranging from 215 to 500 victims. After 6 months of testimony, Dr. Harold Shipman was found guilty of 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forgery. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But many believe his true number of victims far exceeds that. To this day, the full extent of his crimes remains unknown. The medical community was left reeling. How had he gone undetected for so long? How could someone like him slip through the cracks of the healthcare system? Shipman's case changed the way medical professionals are monitored in the UK, leading to tighter regulations and a re-examination of patient safety protocols. Harold Shipman's story is a chilling reminder of the dark side of human nature. Even in a profession built on trust and care, evil can lurk. It was one mistake, a forged will, that finally caught this killer. But for his hundreds of victims, justice came too late.